Bruce Lee, a legendary kung fu superstar, suddenly died under mysterious circumstances at the peak of his career. What is the truth behind the speculations of allergic reactions to painkillers, marijuana use, electric shock therapy, and gang-related murders? July 21, 1973, in Hong Kong, seemed just like any other day. But early in the morning, when people opened the newspapers to check the news, they were in shock. At 11:30 p.m. last night, Pan Hong Kung Fu superstar Bruce Lee died in Elizabeth Hospital at the age of 33. Everyone started. I thought it was just a media stunt to promote Bruce Lee's movie Game of Death. But the news was true. The news of Bruce Lee's death quickly spread around the world. July 26, 1973, the day of his funeral, was a dark and sorrowful day for many citizens of Hong Kong. Over 20,000 people spontaneously took to the streets to bid farewell to the Kung Fu superstar. And the British Hong Kong government even deployed a large number of police to maintain order. Bruce Lee's American wife, Linda, wore traditional mourning attire according to Chinese customs, and the floral wreath she sent bore the inscription, "Little Dragon loves his father, continuing into the next life." Many of Bruce Lee's colleagues and numerous friends from the martial arts and film industries came to say their final goodbyes. Bruce Lee was gone, just as he was at the peak of his life, a unique cultural symbol in the international martial arts and film world. Its impact is undoubtedly wide-ranging and profound. Bruce Lee's death was like a bolt from the blue. In the eyes of the public, his body was like a steel wall. His kung fu was unbeatable. But just yesterday, he was full of life, and at the height of his glory. How could he possibly die so suddenly overnight? People began to speculate about how Bruce Lee actually died. What exactly happened that day? The first people to announce the news of his death were the two people Bruce Lee trusted the most during his life. His wife Linda and Run Run Shaw, the owner of Golden Harvest where Bruce Lee worked, recounted the events to the media in the early hours of the 21st. Run Run Shaw had originally arranged to meet Bruce Lee at a restaurant at 5 p.m. on July 20th to discuss a movie script. But after waiting for a long time, Bruce Lee did not show up. So, Run Run Shaw went to Bruce Lee's home. At this point, his wife Linda had already noticed that Bruce Lee was unresponsive. So she notified the family's private doctor. The doctor believed Bruce Lee's condition was extremely critical and that he needed to be rushed to the hospital, but he unfortunately passed away shortly after arriving. However, the keen-eyed reporters quickly discovered that the truth was not as it seemed. They retrieved the hospital rescue records from the day of the incident. At that time, the Kowloon Ambulance Headquarters received a call for help. Ambulance dispatched to Pik Ka Shan, 2 Bihua, 3rd. Patient was Bruce Lee. This address wasn't Bruce Lee's home, but actress Betty Ting Pei's. His presence there became explosive news. The true circumstances of the strange child was found in a young woman's home, which undoubtedly became explosive news. Bruce Lee's death circumstances didn't match the timeline and location given by Linda and Sui Hawk. Why did they lie? Who caused his death? The locations don't match. It's obvious that they are lying. Why are they lying? Who is the real culprit behind Bruce Lee's death? Painkillers. Betty Ting Pei was born in 1945 and her original name was Tang Mei Li. A famous actress from Taiwan. She comes from a prestigious family with 3 generations of doctors. Her uncle is the renowned Zhang Xueliang, and her grandfather was the chief of the Beijing police during the warlord era. Betty Ting Pei once studied at the National Taiwan College of Medicine, majoring in film and drama, and joined Shaw Brothers Studio in Hong Kong in 1967. She often played glamorous roles and met Bruce Lee. In the spring of 1972, Betty Ting Pei frequently visited the set where Bruce Lee was filming. The two of them were often inseparable, going everywhere together. Rumors about their relationship were constantly circulating in the community. Zhu Wenwei lied out of good intentions in order to protect Bruce Lee's image. Bruce Lee and Ding Pei had a scandal before, and it is easier for those who do good things to take advantage of it now. If Bruce Lee had such a stain, his image as a generation of kung fu superstar would be greatly reduced. Zhu Wenhui may want to preserve Bruce Lee's reputation after his death. However, things didn't go as planned, and now Bruce Lee's death has become even more shrouded in mystery and confusion. Based on the subsequent police investigation and the testimonies of the parties in court, we can roughly infer that on July 20th, 1973, Bruce Lee's boss visited Betty Ting Pei's home to discuss Game of Death. Bruce had a headache, took painkillers, and lay down. By 9 p.m., Bruce was still unconscious, so Betty called for help, and an ambulance was summoned. Bruce Lee had a headache, and Betty Ting Pei gave him the painkillers he usually took, and arranged for him to lie down. Tsui Hark had to leave Betty Ting Pei's house for a while. At 9 p.m., when Betty Ting Pei saw that Bruce Lee still hadn't woken up, she called Tsui Hark. He returned to her home around 9:40 p.m. and found that Bruce Lee was still unconscious. So he called Betty Ting Pei's private doctor, Dr. Zhu Bohui. Bruce Lee remained in a coma, and even his breathing and heartbeat had stopped, prompting them to quickly call for an ambulance. They took Bruce Lee to Elizabeth Hospital. At the same time, his wife Linda was notified, and murder, manslaughter, suicide, and accidental death were ruled out. After considering 6 possible causes of death, including natural death, the court made its final ruling on September 24th. The court believed that Bruce Lee died of cerebral edema. Bruce Lee died from an allergic reaction to painkillers given by Ding Pei. This ruling caused uproar, with many doubting the painkiller. More people blamed Ding Pei, as Lee died in her bed. They believed she was involved. But more people naturally pointed their fingers at the owner of that bed, Ding Pei. They believed that since Bruce Lee died on Ding Pei's bed, she must have had some involvement, especially since Bruce Lee was already married at the time, and Ding Pei was his mistress. Because this relationship only added fuel to the fire. Opinion map. Everyone pointed their fingers at Ding Pei, and she was even too afraid to attend Bruce Lee's funeral. Ding Pei faced rumors. She left the film industry and turned to Buddhism. Bruce Lee fans targeted Ding Pei. Ding Pei left films. Who caused Bruce Lee's death? The coroner discovered findings. Ultimately, she chose to leave the film industry and convert to Buddhism. So, who is really the culprit behind Bruce Lee's death? After 36 hours post-mortem, the coroner's examination revealed surprising new findings regarding marijuana use. After Bruce Lee's body was autopsied, samples of his kidney, small intestine, colon, blood, and stomach contents were immediately sent to a local laboratory in Hong Kong for testing, while the remaining samples were sent by his wife Linda to laboratories in Australia and New Zealand. The test results revealed the presence of marijuana, with 0.5 milligrams in the stomach and 0.4 milligrams in the small intestine. With the news released, public opinion was once again in a frenzy. Could it be that drug use led to Bruce Lee's death? There are reports indicating that Bruce Lee had smoked marijuana during his lifetime to relieve the stress of filming. At the same time, the boss of Golden Harvest, Tsui Hark, confirmed that Bruce Lee's mental state was normal during his lifetime. Before his death, they saw each other daily. Bruce Lee was very enthusiastic while discussing filming details and showed no signs of drug use. There are endless speculations about the cause of Bruce Lee's death, but they are all overturned, one by one. Who is to blame for Bruce Lee's death? Experts link his death to overtraining. Bruce Lee's death is linked to overtraining and using a Japanese oscillation machine. Every day, he had to do high-intensity physical training, including cycling and jumping. Not only that, but Bruce Lee also trained using extreme methods, employing a Japanese-invented high-frequency oscillation machine to assist his workouts. Using a motor to vibrate muscles equals hours of training. It coerces the body, and Bruce Lee had surgery. It's equivalent to practicing for 10 hours, normally. This training method disrupts the balance of the body's nervous and physiological systems. It has a coercive effect, and to avoid sweating affecting his performance, Bruce Lee even underwent surgery. He had his sweat glands removed. These training methods allowed Bruce Lee to maintain superhuman strength and incredible agility. Its speed is so fast that even when slowed down to a quarter of the speed, the camera still struggles to capture his fists. But all of this came at a cost. Under the influence of these various factors, Bruce Lee's body began to show warning signs. He started experiencing headaches. So why did Bruce Lee push himself so hard? In 1967, he created his own martial art in the United States. He named it Jeet Kune Do, which means intercepting the opponent's punches, indicating that it is a simple and direct form of combat. He advocated for quick and decisive action, emphasizing offense and high physical demands, which is why Bruce Lee trained tirelessly. Jeet Kune Do focuses on offense. It aims to win with a single strike. Bruce Lee trained to enhance his abilities. Advocating for winning with a single strike places higher demands on the physical abilities of practitioners. Because of this, Bruce Lee often trained tirelessly. High intensity, overloaded training to enhance speed and strength. As a martial artist, his body was like a precision machine, but it was also incredibly fragile. In fact, in the last year of his life, Bruce Lee gradually lost weight, dropping from over 140 pounds to just over 100 pounds. For young adults over 1.7 meters tall, this body type is clearly on the thin side. A year after Bruce Lee's death, an Indonesian Chinese also used the same muscle fiber vibrating machine as Bruce Lee, which led to a fatal head congestion. Soon after, this vibrating machine disappeared from the market. Who caused Bruce Lee's death? Was it a gang hit? Before 1959, he injured. On the eve of his departure to the United States for studies in 1959, Bruce Lee injured the son of a triad gang leader in a street fight. After that, the triad announced a manhunt for Bruce Lee, and it was precisely because of this incident that Bruce Lee's father feared for his safety and decided to send his son away to the United States. He feared that something might happen, which is why he made the decision to send his son far away to the United States. In 1970, Bruce Lee was shot by a gangster named Wang John in the US, hit by 2 bullets. But fortunately, he was not seriously injured. After this incident, Bruce Lee decided to leave the United States and return to Hong Kong to develop his career. Before his return, Hong Kong was quite chaotic, and in such an environment, Bruce Lee offended the mob and was threatened with assassination. Can someone really escape the mob's revenge just because they became famous, even if it's to maintain their own reputation? The triad leader wouldn't just let this go. There's also a very important detail that is often overlooked. The one who is openly seeking revenge to kill Bruce Lee is the triad leader, and the reason this mob boss wants revenge is that Bruce Lee injured his son. If we put ourselves in each other's shoes, if you hurt my son, I wouldn't just want your life. I'd also go after your son. 80 years later, on the night of March 31st, 1993, Bruce Lee's son, Brandon Lee, was shot in the abdomen by a live round fired from a prop gun held by his co-star Michael Massey during the final gunfight scene of the movie, The Crow. He was then rushed to the hospital for emergency treatment, but due to excessive blood loss, he passed away the following afternoon at 1 o'clock. After the police and forensic investigation determined Brandon Lee's cause of death was an accidental discharge of a prop gun. The bullet hit his abdomen, injuring his spine, and he ultimately died from excessive blood loss, according to the investigation. The prop gun was supposed to be loaded with blank cartridges, but due to negligence in the prop room, a live round was mistakenly loaded into the prop gun. In addition, the firearms were not thoroughly checked before the shoot, which led to the tragedy. The actor who fired the gun, Michael Massey, stated that the gun was given to him by the crew member, who in turn claimed that he was only responsible for storing the firearms. The bullets were loaded by the stuntmen, but the stuntmen insisted that they were blanks, and the 3 of them blamed each other. This adds to the mystery of the incident. Although the official verdict was an accident, there are still many doubts and conspiracy theories. Bruce Lee's wife stated, "I believe he died naturally and no one is responsible. Bruce Lee paved the way for Chinese actors in Hollywood. My husband died of natural causes, and I don't need anyone to take responsibility for his death." the facts cannot be changed. Bruce Lee helped Chinese actors in Hollywood and introduced Kung Fu to the West. He helped Westerners recognize and learn about Chinese Kung Fu, while also making action films one of the mainstream genres in Hong Kong cinema. His films are clear in their love and hate, filled with a strong sense of justice and patriotic sentiment. He showcased Chinese culture to the entire world through his movies. He is hailed as a genius in history of contemporary Chinese martial arts and cinema. Promotes Chinese martial arts. Americans praise him as the king of Kung Fu, while the Japanese call him the saint of martial arts. Even though he has been gone for a long time, Bruce Lee is still synonymous with Kung Fu. His talent, his integrity, and his brilliance have all become an uncopyable legend. The plot may not matter much anymore. Bruce Lee will certainly live on in his movies and in our memories. At the peak of his life, he suddenly fell. The spiritual wealth he left is called the constant mind. Bruce Lee, a global icon, revolutionized martial arts films. His death remains a mystery. This was his cry, and the philosophical martial arts was his original creation. Bruce Lee ushered in a new era of Kung Fu movies. He brought Chinese Kung Fu globally. The cause of his death is still a mystery, as shown in Game of Death. In the film, Bruce Lee says, "Life is a process of waiting for death." This line seems mysterious, leaving the world with endless speculation and reverie. In the treasure chest that Bruce Lee passed through in the film, there is a saying that life is a process of waiting for death. This line seems to be arranged by fate. This is also Bruce Lee's personal reflection on the ultimate questions of life, as someone who graduated from the philosophy department just a week after his death. The movie Enter the Dragon he starred lead was released domestically internationally, his first Hollywood collaboration. It achieved unprecedented success and set off a kung fu craze around the world. Bruce Lee's favorite song during his lifetime was the song adapted by the famous British poet Christina, "When I Die," as the lyrics say, "When I die, my dear, don't mourn for me with sorrow. If you wish, remember me. If you are willing, then forget me."